China's dairy market has been going through a significant adjustment phase, with soft milk prices shifting import patterns and now fresh trade tensions adding another layer of uncertainty. To help us unpack what's happening on the ground and what it means for global dairy flows, we're joined by YiFan Li, head of dairy at StoneX Asia. Welcome, YiFan. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me here.
It's lovely to have you in the studio. So let's start with this. China's imports have been a bit uneven lately. Some categories seem to be stabilizing, but others are subdued at the moment. What are you seeing in terms of overall demand? And is China starting to come back into the market in a meaningful way?
When we look at the China dairy demand, we normally put that separate as the import ingredient demand and the overall demand. So when we look at the import-export number, we see that is the imported ingredient demand, which is kind of like a recovery over the past 1-2 years.
Okay.
But like you said, it's pretty uneven when we look at a specific product by product. But the overall China domestic dairy product demand so far is doing okay.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about domestic milk prices because they've been under pressure for quite some time because of oversupply. Where are farm gate prices sitting now, and are we starting to see any real signs that production is being reined in?
When we look at the China domestic farm gate milk price over the past couple of years, we see that one-way trend down for a very long time. So the profit from the farm definitely not doing well. They barely survive, and a lot of the small farms, they close down the business or they sell the business to the big boys. But over the past 3 months, it started from the end of 2025, we see that the spot milk collection price is becoming more and more close to the contracted price, which give them a time to take a breath because it's coming to China is on the northern hemisphere, so it's normally coming to the end of the year. It's the low production season, and because it's the main holiday are coming around the end of the year to the beginning of the year, so the demand is slightly picking up, and it gives some balance to the markets.
We've also actually seen China move ahead with countervailing measures on EU dairy imports. How significant are these, and do they actually change trade flows in a meaningful way?
It just happened quite recently with all the geopolitical tensions and trade wars. Along the time that China and the EU have a pretty good relationship, I have to say. But with the electric vehicle, with some other stuff going on, so China put extra tariff on the cream and the butter. So cream and the butter is one of the main product that China food service industry are buying at the moment, and compared with the traditional consumption, we can see that over the past few years, China domestic demand on the cream and butter definitely is getting stronger and stronger. So the domestic supply are not enough to meet the domestic consumption. Even they increased the production quite a lot over the past 2 years. But again, it's that they still have to buy a lot from other exporting countries like New Zealand. And so if, let's say, we are getting maybe 7 to 10% extra tariff on the EU product, it will definitely benefit the Kiwi and the China domestic processors.
Like you just said, cream demand in China is rising. How important is cream in the overall dairy mix, and how vulnerable is it to these trade and tariff shifts?
When I goes to China for business trip around the end of last year, and my observation is definitely Chinese consumers are craving for cream. So they put cream on all of the application you can or cannot imagine, in the milk tea. Definitely is
very British.
they put like extra whipping cream on it, and on the bagel, it's like that they put heavy cream on it. Even like they're adding cream to the yogurt, to the ice cream, to almost all the application in the traditional, and they have a lot of the innovation too. So that's yeah, that gives like a boosting market when we look at it like sector by sector, because that the traditional drinking milk and the milk beverage, the demand is not doing well, but the industry are promoting like value-added item, and the consumer on like consumption upgrading. So like with a rising middle class and the urbanization, like more and more young people, they want to try something new, something a little bit more fancy than the
A
traditional
little luxury.
exactly. Than the traditional product that they were consuming over the past 10, 20 years.
Okay. So looking ahead then into the next 2 or 3 quarters, what is the key variable that global dairy traders should be watching for when it comes to China? Is it demand recovery? Is it policy risk? Or is it domestic production cuts?
I think the domestic production still play a very important role in the global supply and demand, because that when we look at the global demand, if we're putting all the importing countries together, it's just like pretty flat. But the Southeast Asia, Middle East, the demand is good. So who are dragging the global like import demand from like a healthy recovery is mainly China, because that over the past couple of years, China put a lot of the domestic production on dairy farming, on the processing. So in the short term, definitely that is still the market is trying to find its balance. But I think that give the market some time, that with China economy is it has already shows signs to recover. Not that quick, but like finger crossed, is like the China economy will do well. So the domestic consumer market will recover from the previous low, and I think is that we are pretty optimistic about the China demand over the next 1 year.
Understood. YiFan, thank you so much for your time, and thank you to our viewers for watching. For more financial content, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.